All right, here we go. You know we're back. You know we're back. You know that music? It's a little hash mark. Mr. Waddle, Mr. KT and myself having some fun, but you listen to Renovation Nation, you knew it. Coming at you from the undisclosed location, live on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I got a guest today, people. You're not just going to have to hear me babble like you've heard me. Yeah, see you here. I'm not lying. I got somebody in the room. Got somebody out in Studio 378, the undisclosed locations, I call it. Some people knows where it's at, some people don't, and some people won't. that's my saying. But I've got Mr. Jeff Checko today. Now he's been on, that's probably been 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago. It's been a little bit. It was back when we were doing live shows at the studio. At the studio. That got him coming in today. We're going to talk a little TAREG. How does he say that? What's the correct pronunciation, I guess?
I think he likes TAREG.
TAREG.
But he's British, so can you really go with that? I don't know.
I don't know.
As long as people want to use us for real estate, we don't care.
That's fair enough. Well, I'll call it the TAREG as I always do because I got that southern drawl. But got Mr. Jeff Checko, as I said, here coming back. We're going to talk a little, the market, the real estate. We're going to talk about, construction prices. You know what I talked about? Well, I don't know if they aired it yet or not, but you know what I've talked about before about wood prices around here and stuff, people. It's crazy. It was, and it still is, and maybe it'll get corrected, who knows, but we're going to talk that. We're going to talk about some communities that they're getting dabbling in a little bit, or maybe not even dabbling, probably neck deep knowing these guys, and some anniversaries. So you can stick out for the show, and you're going to get Mr. Jeff Checko coming up right here in a second. But well, let's see. By the way, I'm Chad Rowland, the host, owner of RTM Roofing, coming at you again live from Studio 378 on the great station, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. But if you miss a segment now, 9 to 10 p.m. Yeah, you catch it here every Saturday, right after this one from 11 to 12. Wait till 9 to 10 if you missed something. Tune it back in, and be sure to carry it on your phone. Do the WTN on the websites. iHeartRadio carries it, although, we're on WTN, people, so remember that. But nevertheless, if you're in another world somewhere and, you got to get to it, well, get to it. But anyhow, I want to throw out some shout-outs today. I was up in Sparta, I think it was day before yesterday, and saw Mr. Willard. He listens to the show, decided to call us up, had some issues up there. Not as bad, though, for once. I get up there, and I say, I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. I'm here to tell you what I see and what I know. So don't shoot the messenger. And I'm sure Jeff's never ran into that. We'll find out about that in a minute. What do you mean only that much? But I want to throw out a big shout to Mr. Jordan Rigby. And by the way, he's riding Turboville.
Turbo, we just call it Turbo.
Turbo, there you go, Turbo. I always babble it. So Big Brian, I hadn't seen him a little bit. We've been messaging back and forth every now and then, but he recommended us. Thanks for that, Mr. Turbo. And the weather's been beautiful. Not much rain, thank goodness. I think some rain's coming in next week. So if you still haven't had your yearly inspections, it's fall now. Don't wait till it's 30 degrees or 34 degrees in the rain for 4 days, and then you leak, and then it's another week before we can do anything about it. Remember it, 615-500-0751, 615-500-0751. Or if you're watching Facebook Live now, because we're finally able to do another Facebook Live. I got everything set up, and so if you're watching, there is Mr. Checko, so you can catch that today. And you can go back and watch that at Renovation Nation, at Studio 378, at my page, and sometimes I throw on my band pages. I don't know if I did today, but if not, I'll put it out there. But nevertheless, what else is going on? I don't know. I'm excited. I got somebody in house today. This is great. This is going to be fun. It's going by too quick, so I'm going to shut up here in a minute and get to you and get into some good stuff. But it's deer season, so remember, people, the rut's about to start. Here for too long. So when you're driving at night, pay attention. Those idiot teenage boys will walk right out in front of you. So be sure and keep a heads up for that. I want to bring that up. If Jeff didn't make it today, I was going to be talking deer hunting all day because Sarah and I have set up some stands, and I love just sitting watching the sunrise. I tell you. And then the bobcat's got a big old bobcat. You seen that little kid video, by the way, Jeff? Where he shoots the cat or acts like he shoots the cat and grabs it.
No, I saw one where the guy was running from one in Utah. Did you see that last week?
Yeah, that's why you carry guns up.
Not one or
I'm
something.
not running, man. I'm higher on the food chain, at least in the world. But yeah, it was. I did see that. That's no.
Did you see the parody on it where the guy puts the tagline "running from a cougar"?
Oh,
And then he's got, it's like a guy dressed up in drag, and it's like chasing him down like it's an older woman trying to get with him. It's
No.
so funny, you gotta look for it.
No.
It's a parody on it.
oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious.
It was like a proverbial cougar, not like a real cougar.
Yeah. but let's see what else we got today. We got let me see here. I've got them sitting here looking at my notes. I don't usually have to do notes, but I want to make sure to stay on topic today since I've got the madman in house. Let's see here. By the way, if you've heard our commercials, which most of you have, and a lot of you are if you listen to WTN, that we're doing our first responders discount. You know, Veterans Day is coming up here soon, and I started this a couple years ago, and I still do it, but it's definitely military and first responders. If you're an ambulance driver, if you're a critical care nurse or a nurse in general, because you're a first responder, you're on the front lines. If you're a paramedic, even if you're driving, most paramedics do drive too, but even if you're just the driver of the other guys in the back doing work, you get 10% off a new roof. Don't tell us that after we estimate it. And let's say it's $10,000 and you go, by the way, this is my job. Bam, it's 9, period. That's it. I've been doing it, I'm always gonna do it. And by the way, military, active or not, retired. If you're widowed, then you count too. So, just saying, that's why we give back at RTM Roofing, and that's not just this month, that's forever. So just remember that. I want to make sure I threw that out there. And now, I'm in about 6 minutes into this, so we got a few minutes. I want to do a little recapping before we get into the meat and potatoes. I want to introduce you to Mr. Jeff Checko of the TAREG, the Alice
in Wonderland.
Y'all have been pretty wild and off the scales off that, but the Ashton Realstate Group.
Yes, sir.
How you doing?
Man, I'm good. You know, it's a pleasure to be here. First of all, the undisclosed location. I will not disclose the said undisclosed location, but I will tell everybody it's beautiful. You got a nice slice of heaven going on out here, and a great place to get in your creative space. You know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we're not. I need me turn this down a little bit. It's a little hot right there. I turned mine up and didn't turn yours up. And matter of fact, since I can edit other than Facebook Live, what I'm gonna do is just do about that right there. And there we go. Now we get a little better little signal. But so you were on my show a couple years ago, year and a half ago.
Yep.
What all's been happening since?
Man, obviously we know what kind of year 2020's been. I'm fortunate. Been with the Ashton Realstate Group for a long time. When I joined up in 2010, early 2011, we had 6 people. So I call myself one of the original 6, and it's been a heck of a ride. So many people struggling for various reasons in 2020, and it almost feels uncomfortable saying that it's been a great year for us. You know,
It's the same here.
Yeah,
it's been stupid crazy.
You want to be sensitive to people that have challenging things going on right now. We were talking about it before. People in the service industry, and our vibrant music industry is facing challenges. So you almost feel uncomfortable saying that real estate has been as good as ever and maybe better.
Well, let me rewind a little bit, because I definitely want to get into that, because when I ask realtors that I know, and I know a lot, and I know a lot of Gary's team, I know pretty much all, you've got so many new people I've not met, and by the way, I need to get back into a team meeting.
You too.
But nevertheless, every time I talk to them thinking that no one's going to be buying anything, they barely had time to text me back or even talk, because they were slammed.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we're gonna get into maybe why or what you think on that. But where are you from and how did you get here? Because let's recap some people that didn't hear you a couple years ago. We got a few new listeners now.
Yeah. So obviously Nashville, people make jokes now if they're from here about one of the unicorns, you know.
Yeah.
I've got friends that call themselves 4%ers down in Williamson County, Franklin. They were on that, but I've been here almost 20 years now. Came down in 2002. Yes.
Well, you're local now, then that counts.
Well, I still have problems enunciating my R's from time to time, and depending on what adult beverages might be involved, I can sound like a soprano from time to time.
We use Y's down here, like yours, not E's.
That's
so
right.
I mean, just
Yeah. So back in '01, I was working in the corporate world and commuting in the Northeast between Boston and New York City.
That was the year I met Gary.
Oh, no kidding.
Mm-hmm.
How about that? He was a fresh year from Florida at that point, right?
He was I come out, I flew from, let's see, where did I fly from? I flew from, I think Phoenix. I was on tour and had to come back for a couple days in Nashville. My sister was founding online from California. This is '01.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy's crazy.
Yeah.
That, and then actually rode around with him all day. When he showed houses, I always joke. I don't know if he shows houses anymore. He goes looks at them, but nevertheless, long story short, we started talking, and I'd been out with Barry Jr. and Reverend Horton Heat, and he knew Scotty, the drummer,
Yeah.
and I knew Scotty very well. I just left him 24 or 8 hours before, and so we immediately hit it off. Then I met him again in 2012, and then we looked at each other and found out after about 3 visits, I was like, I know Scott Trillo. That's what I said. That's all I said. Scott. And then the child, then the Brit came out, the full Brit. It was great.
Yeah, Gary is, he's an interesting guy, man. He's been on top of that real estate game from the beginning as far as technology goes.
Why do you think I do selfies?
Yeah, that's right. He still does show real estate. Him and I actually have a lot of fun when we get to go do it together,
Yeah.
Sometimes we have clients that we want to team up with, bringing different things to the table. And it's fun to make a day of it and get out there and just kind of, it's like, you almost forget you're with clients sometimes when you're just having fun being friends and doing something that you enjoy. And that comes off well with clients. We make friends with people. And also do
It's
some-
relationship based. Everything is. That's what I tell people. I don't sell. I build relationships.
Yeah, man. So for me, in '02, I was kind of itchy to stop putting on a suit and tie and ironing clothes at 4 in the morning and driving a lot, and we couldn't be as productive in the car with the cell phones and stuff like that.
That's
So-
right. No, not back then. Not in the box.
Yeah. So I got a little itchy and wanted to do something else, and then as luck would have it, this opportunity came up here in Nashville to get involved in some real estate, and here we are.
Well, you see how he got here. Now we're gonna find out what he's doing here.
Yeah.
See you in 3. I'll go back and edit that and pull that in, and then click, bam. Da-da-da, no, I didn't want it. Oh, no, I don't want to do the start yet. Let's go to here. Bam. And then immediately save as. Yeah, it's a good little backup saves, but I like saving it as I go.
There you go.
As soon as this kicks. But yeah, hey, welcome Facebook. Been a while.
What's up, Facebook?
I don't know, I'm not even online to look, see who's anybody's commenting or not commenting or even watching, but I haven't done it in a little bit, and it's
I
sort of
can
fun.
have some friends from the Northeast checking it out, going, "What happened to that guy's accent?" Around here, nobody thinks I'm from the South, but when I go there, they ask me, "My goodness, you sound like a Southerner." I'm somewhere lost in the middle.
There was one time when I was up in Ohio, when I was up there for a whole summer. My mom's from up in Dayton, and I was there for a whole summer. And I came back, and I heard, "Hey, how you doing?" It was the weirdest thing. I never heard a Southern accent till I moved back.
That's right.
And,
That's right. Pick up on it.
So here we go, going to segment 2. We don't have to wait on these commercials. Let that do it tomorrow. Let's see, record. Oh, hang on. Nope. Bam, bam. Do those 2 right there. Segment 2. Click. Oh, you're back. We're back live from the undisclosed location, Studio 378. Coming at you though on the dial 99.7 or Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You're listening to Renovation Nation. That's how we do it. Always rocking out a little bit. One of these times I'm just going to let that song play for the whole 9 minutes it goes.
Sounds all right.
It's just some good improv. We just got in there and had some fun, and just I think the guys cringed a little bit that I use it, but I mixed it down pretty good and had some fun. But let's get back into stuff, because that was, if you didn't catch that first segment, by the way, you can at 9 p.m. tonight, 10 on WTN. Hey, look at that. That's a ginger.
Oh, you didn't even know.
Didn't even know it. Hey, as my buddy says, it ain't easy, man.
It ain't easy.
So, but anyhow, so when we just got off, you just come back from last segment. You were talking about you came down here in 2001.
2002.
2002. Yeah, you're a unicorn if you're from Nashville. And I always have a rule: 0 to 5 years, you're a noob. 6 to 10, you're semi-noob. After 10, you can say you're from Nashville because of the growth, and look at 10 years ago to today.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
It's beyond anything we could have imagined, you know. I made the choice to move here because of the prospects for growth, but to really see it unfold and be a part of it has been pretty awe-striking, you know. It's really something to see those skyline pictures when they compare, you know.
I've got some pictures in the back over there that a buddy of mine got me that he'd found in an estate sale, and they're from like 1964, 72, and 82. I remember it growing up. So I remember at least after 72 or maybe 82, but nevertheless, that I remember, you know, the buildings, the KDF sign, and all these other deals. The Batman building wasn't there, and now you look at it.
LNC was, right?
Yes, the LNC. As far as I can remember, it's always been here since I've been walking. But now, every time I drive the loop, you know, whether I'm going to the left or to the right, heading north or west or whatever, it just boggles my mind. So what happened? How did we get here? And what did you have to do about it? Or do with it? Who do I blame?
As it relates to the growth, man, I just think it's, you've got to accommodate people and the things that they want to do.
Yeah.
You know? And so, you know, first comes the foundation, you know, which I think with Tennessee is a pro-business, conservative fiscal policy, you know. And of course, we had a backbone that was tourism friendly and just friendly in general. And I think that I kind of look at my career and my time here as two major sections. The first one being the post 9/11 economy that lasted until we had the mortgage meltdown, and then after that, the first half of it was really comprised of the loose lending era. We had a lot of growth, but it was really regionally fueled. We had some relocating people, but then after the AIG, Lehman Brothers, that whole show, we had just a whole different type of growth in this second half, if you will, that involved being no secret to the rest of the country and even internationally as far as investment goes.
Yeah.
And then of course we had the Nashville television show that made us kind of trendy.
Sort of did what Dallas did to Dallas back in the day.
It really did.
Yeah.
And so now it's, even talking to people back home, when I first moved here, it was, oh, you're going to Nashville? Well, that's cool. You know, are you gonna wear a cowboy hat?
Yeah, you can wear boots.
But now
they have their teeth.
But now I got people hitting me up on Facebook because they know I live here and they're coming to town just because it's a place to go now.
Yeah.
And it's a destination, not only to maybe think about relocating for obvious reasons we all know about, but just to come visit and have a good time.
Have fun.
So that's been the progression. It was a place where I went to Jimmy Kelly's my first time to visit, and that was the place to go. And it's a great place still, but now we've got a food city and a place that has a lot of diversity. And it's interesting, and for me, it's been very fulfilling. I really enjoy living here more than I ever thought I would.
That's the best part of Nashville that I think I've liked the most. The music's always been here. I was part of it in the 90s. You know, more the southern rock, not the country style, but nevertheless, that's always been a given. Broadway's always been Broadway, and everybody knows what goes down there. But the food that's came to town, I feel like a tourist. I mean, I've been here all my life, or at least within an hour of here all my life, plus or minus. That I'm like a tourist. I'm like, what is that? And when did they build there?
Yeah.
You know, the Gulch is a prime example.
Yeah.
You know, the Gulch is a place you used to not go back in the day.
That's right.
Now it's $800 a square foot or whatever it may be. I'm just going to crazy numbers, but it's crazy. You could have bought it for $800, you know, 20, 30 years ago.
I remember when the proverbial poop hit the fan with the mortgage crisis. I remember going down into the Gulch and meeting with some developers, and you know, the Icon had done pretty well. Terrazzo over there had gotten out of the ground. We had like Rhythm at Music Row across the way. They were struggling to sell units. You could pick stuff up in the 200,000s, you know, and there were deals to be had. Now I look back with regret, but I didn't have any money then anyway.
$6 million less money. See, that's the thing. It's hindsight's one thing. Man, if we'd have had it, then we didn't have it. So you can't do what you can't do.
Yeah. I came out. I made some good plays back then. I did well on some stuff.
So the ones that were in the 200s, because I met a couple people that bought some for $350 or whatever it was, and you know, now what are they now? Like if someone was selling that spot today, just hip shot and.
So if somebody bought like a one bedroom in the Icon, you could have had them for just around that 275, 3 as my memory serves me. Nowadays those are 4.5, you know, to get in over there, because it's a great spot.
Depending on what side, or what
Yeah,
side
if
you're
you're
on.
city viewer, if you're
yeah.
looking at the courtyard, you know, everybody's done well, but look, all real estate appreciates on the long curve.
Yeah.
What's interesting about the downtown corridor is you have chances of catching fire. And what's really interesting is these little neighborhoods that have done their thing, whether it be the Nations or 12 South.
That's right.
You know, or different pockets in East Nashville, and now we see
Yeah.
things happening on the north end.
Was it Germantown or Georgetown, or what's north right there? Is it
Germantown.
Germantown.
Yeah.
I was.
Germantown, Salemtown, heck man, they're naming new neighborhoods.
Yeah.
You know, the people like Turbo you mentioned, he's a local guy and knows the neighborhoods as good as anybody. He trains people on our team for that. But it's funny, there's stuff that's always been named that, and then there's like new names that people are coming
So
up
put a
with.
click on it.
Yeah, they're just trying to, East Nashville's got like 12 neighborhoods, and
It's
maybe,
East Nashville,
maybe
man.
4 of them have been there. You know, you got Inglewood, you got Lockland Springs, you got Shelby Bottoms, you know, you got 5 Points. Everything else beyond that, you know, it's kind of just been.
It's East Nashville.
Yeah, Cleveland Park maybe has been there, but they keep thinking of new stuff. And
Yeah.
make it cool.
Yeah. No, that's it. Yeah, it's amazing. Like I said, just watching it grow, and I remember back in the late '90s, me and my dad were looking at a few spots over in East Nashville, and we didn't do anything. We just moved, did something else, whatever. And you look over and you just go,
Oh yeah.
But hey, hindsight's 20/20.
Hey, those are the ones that you really regret though, because you could have picked up these houses for 35, 40 grand.
Now they're 350, 400.
And well, if those are tear down lots where you can build the 2. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
Something I'm
Tall and
pretty
skinny.
active in. Now those lots, if you can build 2, they're all the way up to 230, 240. So you could have just bought a house, rented it out to somebody for pretty short money, $600-700 a month. You turn around, 7, 8, 10 years later, and it's 10 times the value.
So that actually leads me to something else. That renting versus buying, right? I was driving down the road the other day and was near Nolensville, and one of the new little spots right there that used to just be just a little house, of course it's a strip thing now. And I saw some condos behind it, looked like condos or apartments, I think it was apartments, and it said renting from $2,200 to $3,800 or something for 2 bedroom.
Yeah, it's wild, right?
I don't even pay that, or it's $2,500 to whatever, yeah, 38, it was crazy. Are people doing that, in your opinion, because A, they either don't have the down payment or the credit, or it's just a lifestyle, they don't care, they don't want to own, they don't,
Well, I think it's all the above, One segment that I participate in is the University Corridor. And so you've got,
Where's that, what is that?
so anywhere, I like to call the University Corridor anywhere from like 40 west, maybe a little north into the Nations, all the way down right through like Wedgwood, Houston.
Yep.
So, and then there's some stuff, East Nashville's actually gotten pulled into that because of competition. I built a couple houses on Shelby last year and ended up selling them to an investor. He bought both sides of the duplex that I built, like an HPR deal, and he's paying $3,400 a month per side for these 5-bedroom houses.
Wow.
But you have to look at it this way contextually. If you've got a child who's gonna live in a dorm room, and there's a couple hundred kids there, and lots of distractions, and things that could take away from their focus, and you're gonna spend $1,200 to $1,500 a month for that child to be in a dorm room with food, would you do that, or would you go ahead and have them team up with 3 friends, save money, and be in an entire house with a little more peace, quiet, security, all these things? So
It's all about your
context
investment.
matters, yeah.
It's all about your investment. Where do you want to put it?
That's right.
Wow. Well, you're listening to Jeff Checko, by the way, with the TAREG Group, the Ashton Real Estate Group, Mr. Gary Ashton, as I always say. Well, you're listening to Renovation Nation live on Super Talk 997. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about some anniversaries, I think. We've both had a couple. So, here it comes. See you in a minute. Bam. It stopped. There we go.
It's fun, man.
Yeah. I mean, we could literally sit here and talk for hours.
Oh, yeah.
It's just on the different
It's
things.
great too, man, because I mean, it's just wide open. It's like when you have been through the downturn like we had, and you watch your income go down by like 60 or 70 or 80%.
Yeah.
When it really screeched to a halt, you have this mindset that you just gotta make hay while the sun's shining, because who knows?
That's right.
What's around the corner. And so now that it's been going good for a while, you almost try to shift to like, okay, maybe I should think about that word balance a little bit, and how do I, make sure that I'm present with my family.
That's the key.
But still taking advantage of opportunity, and
you can't take none of it with you.
That's right.
So, well, you gotta put your priorities sometime, but
But you
right
can leave
now,
some for somebody too.
You know, that's a fair play. That's a fair play. But it has come down to time with your family. It really does. Well, we were talking earlier. You know, I said I'm getting a little older now, and I don't want certain things that I wanted when I was 20s and 30s. Now I'm in my 40s, heading towards the 50s quicker than I'd like, and and I've caught myself being 20 and 30 in the amount of work I've been doing. The time I've been spending on work, and I'll come over here at 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, sometimes 6, somewhere between 4 and 6. And then I'll work to whatever, and then go out and do stuff, you know, get out in the field, and then go to Nashville's office, and then turn back around, get back here at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sometimes, and then work till 10, 11, 12.
Yeah.
And then it's just, you gotta do it again. You gotta make it happen when the sun's shining and the storms come through, but at the same point in time, that's my new thing now that we finally dovetailed back to a coast instead of the rocket. And I'm like, I'm cutting it off at certain hours, and it is what it is.
Well, I think that's one of the things that's interesting about business coaches. You think about business coaching, and it's like, these people are going to help me grow my business. But what's been interesting about getting involved in that a little bit, and is that there's a real value add in them helping you compartmentalize your life a little bit.
Manage your time.
Yeah, because, and keep your, you know, because all of a sudden I've got an 8-year-old and a 13-year-old, and it's just crazy. I look at my son, and thankfully we held him back a year just from the start, because we didn't want him to be too immature as a boy when he graduated. So I've got him for another, what's he in? He's in 7th grade right now. So I've got him at home for at least another 5 years.
Yeah.
But my goodness, I can't believe he's 13, and that feels like it's gonna be tomorrow. You know? So
Tom.
you've got that 15-year-old.
I do.
So,
I do.
So you wanna savor those moments. You wanna make them go places with you.
She's been on the show twice.
That's great.
I mean, doing the show. I've had her interviewing about hockey and skating,
That's cool.
and then she would normally do my commercials too on it, and she's got the knack. She's comfortable.
Maybe raising a minion there. She's gonna follow her footsteps.
Watch out, she's gonna be trouble. She's gonna be trouble, but she's a good one though. All right, here we go. We'll hit segment 3. What's up, Facebook? Good to see y'all.
Hey.
One of these days I'll have people watching Facebook and responding. I can't vote that. It's hard being the engineer and the
Maybe pulling in questions and stuff like that.
yeah,
That'd be cool.
but you know, you can't just be the talent and do all this electronic work too at the same time and that.
Yeah.
I can, but it's managed
You
time.
gotta bring somebody in here to do that.
Well, it's like you said earlier, it's a cost in your time and what's it worth to you.
That's right.
But
That's right.
all right, here we go. Let's bust her in.
Amen.
Oh, you're listening to Renovation Nation, and you know we're back on Super Talk 997 WTN, coming at you from the undisclosed location, drinking Sundrop. By the way, Sundrop, I'm still waiting on some endorsements. Look, if you will go to the Facebook page now, to either Renovation Nation or RTM, you'll see the product placements right by my dinosaurs that have been probably 150 to 200,000 miles and been on top of my amp for more shows than I can count. That, Jeff, I'll tell you, I hung out one night with the green one right there, the green lizard. And for long stories, back in college at MTSU, and I had him all night, and then I took him on the road and put him on my amp.
Yeah.
Well, every time we'd stop at some gas station in the middle of BFE, that I would see him, and then if there was another one, I'd get one more.
Because you gotta have his buddies.
And so I got 3 of them. So if he was in the store, and there was one I didn't have, that's the 4 I had, and I thought, I'm the dinosaur guy, right? I'm the only one with dinosaurs on my amp. Let me tell you, I watched this, I don't know, about 2 years ago, and it's still depressing me to this day. So I thought I was the innovator. I thought I was the Gary Ashton of the dinosaur world, right?
Yeah.
That I watched Rush. I'm a big Rush fan. I like Rush, right?
Rest in peace, Neil.
Yep. And that I don't remember what show it was, or whether it was DVD or something, what have you. And Alex has dinosaurs on his amps.
Oh.
And I think he has for a long time.
Oh,
I'm feeling a little bad now. I'm like, wait a minute, I did that. No, just like when I learned all the Dark Side of the Moon album.
Well, at least it wasn't Nickelback.
Well, people make fun of Nickelback.
Hey, they made it.
And you know they're laughing all the way to the bank.
Heck yeah.
You know why people make fun of them? Because they're jealous.
Probably so. You know.
They got hooks. They're not my favorite music, but they have some tunes that they're good.
Yeah, they've got a few that people will. They catch themselves singing it, even though they're one of those haters. You know?
See, I love it. Well, we're back. We're back live here. So coming at you from Studio 378, the undisclosed location. We got Mr. Jeff Checko of the TAREG Group, or I'm gonna try to get a British accent on here one of these times. But Mr. Gary Ashton's big and Miss Deborah Beagle. Love Miss Deborah. Mr. Johnny, Johnny Lee,
That's right.
and then you, and I think all of y'all were there when I first met Gary again in 2012 and started coming over there to the Brentwood, not Maryland Way, but over there in Brentwood, off the main drag, that building.
That's right.
And then, as a matter of fact, when my Facebook memories popped up like 8 years ago or 7 years ago, and it was me talking to the group, and I was in the selfie back then, I'm like, you know, Gary does a selfie, so I turned around and I did,
Yeah.
always do this.
I was there. I remember that.
Why do you think I'm Facebook Living right now? It's Gary Ashton.
That's right.
He was Facebook Living before it really became a trend. He's a game changer. He's what am I trying to say here? He's
Visionary.
He's a visionary. He's an innovator, but it's not as much innovating as it is moving in this direction or being ahead of the curve, right?
Well, what's great about Gary is he pushes people into a direction they didn't know they needed to go.
Yeah.
And it's uncomfortable at times. You know, I'm still not a person that's full of self-promotion, you know, on the web, but having awareness and just making sure people know what you do and trying to do that in a way that's maybe just more entertaining than promoting.
Yeah.
It has an effect, a positive one, and he's the proof's in the pudding, man.
But he's seeing what people are going to do before they do it.
Yeah.
That's the weird part, or that's the genius to me that I see that because I studied him. I've studied him a little while. Our teams became successful from some of Gary's things I've seen him do, and then go why, and then do something else of my own little deal. That because otherwise, how does he become? How am I riding around with him in a car? And I mean, it was old 2001, so it was before 9/11, and then 14, 15 years later, he's #1 in the world.
I would say
Isn't that right? Am I saying that right?
we're the #1 real estate team, REMAX team in the world.
See, that's stupid. I mean, I'm saying that very politely.
Or as Gary would say, he'd be proud of me for doing this. He would say, in the world.
Oh, you got it. I love it. I love it. I got to get Gary out here.
Oh, he would do it in a second. But what's
He was my first guest.
people ask me how does Gary do it? They want me to kind of sum it up in my brain, and I simplify it for them.
Okay.
I say in a word, yes. And what I mean by that, he's been willing to invest in ways that others do not.
Right.
We talked about casually like what percentage of your gross proceeds for your business should go back into marketing.
Right.
I guarantee you that Gary has taken that scale to a level that is almost against his own, or certainly I would say against his own self-interests.
Yeah.
And so he's been willing to put us in the position we are today. He was willing to continue to double and triple and quadruple and quintuple or whatever the remix is.
Trust me.
Like
Yeah.
constantly doing it, taking on expenses to sponsor the Titans, taking on expenses to sponsor the Preds at a time when we were not fledgling, but still continuing to get our feet under us as a firm.
Yeah.
So just continuing to just go after it, man, and that's just been it's yielded great results for our firm.
Well, I believe it because, like I was telling you, I said as of last week or one of these last shows, I didn't know what to say, TAREG, or I'm like, well, it's Gary Ashton. You've seen him. It's on every billboard. He's like that lawyer in Sherman from Florida that you look up. I don't know who that guy is, but he's got a billboard every 5 miles.
Yeah, in Alabama.
I guess so. Yes.
Some Persian guy lost in the middle of Alabama.
It's from. I mean, and it's every 10 miles, 5-10 miles. There's a billboard, and when I went back into TSU to finish my degree, I had marketing as my minor. Well, one of our marketing classes, we had to get a billboard. You find out the cost of the billboard, what it's going to run, and the percentages. We had to make a marketing plan, is what it was, and then base it off of it. And then they did whatever. I passed, but they're not expensive. I mean, I'm sorry, they're not inexpensive. Now, depending on where you're at, and it's digital or not, now is a little different story. But you've got a billboard right down here on 24 that's like one of his I saw, where 24 and 40 meet, and it's sitting right there. That's not $2,000 a month. Let me tell you something. For 30 days.
Our advertising, what it costs to keep our business going, is staggering.
Yeah, and that's I feel the pain on that. My last show I did, I talked about general liability and being an owner and things you don't get told that you just got to learn, and sometimes you got to absorb it, and it comes out of nowhere. That it's hard. It's sometimes you say, hey, start a business, own a business, you got fun, they said. Well, they were crazy sometimes, because sometimes the job's a little better than owning a business. So I give him kudos to, I'm still a debt-free company. I put everything back in that, to my own detriment sometimes, to keep it moving and keep it where it not moving forward. Not moving just to stay alive, but keep it I'm trying to be 2 or 3 years ahead of the curve. Like Gary is eons ahead of the curve at sometimes, and other times he's right there in the rut, just roll, not the rut, but the channel, just flowing.
Well, another thing that Gary's, that may even be innate with him, is that he enjoys it.
He's a drummer.
And but what's interesting is that it's not so much about what's dollar productive. He's willing to put on the lab coat,
Yeah.
and experiment. And so where a lot of people would be hesitant with that trigger finger, he's willing to say, let's give it a shot. And he's also willing to say that didn't work.
That's called America.
Yeah.
That's what makes America great, in my opinion, because it is that willing. Yeah, let's keep it great, baby. But it is though. It is what takes that one step that no one else will take, because of fear, because of whatever, because of a million different things, right? But some of us won't take it, rightly or wrongly. And if they fall off the cliff and die, well, no one else take it again.
Yeah.
Or maybe someone else says I can do it and have a parachute.
Yeah.
So,
That's right.
you know, but at the same point in time, it is things. So now, speaking of Gary and RTM, by the way, you said something earlier and that reminded me, on October 15th, RTM Roofing turned 6 years old. Started their 6th year.
Congratulations, man.
I made the curve. I stayed past 5.
Is that what they say?
5 years is where most businesses go under, they say.
Oh, wow. Well,
Within reason.
glad to be here.
Yes, same here. But y'all just had one, you said.
Yeah. So, we are, of course, the Ashton Real Estate Group as a team has been around for 11, 12 years.
Mhm.
But going out on our own as a firm, REMAX Advantage, and being the Ashton Real Estate Group of REMAX Advantage, just turned 5. And it's amazing. It's gone by fast, but when you think about it, there's a lot that's going into it.
Yeah, but, well, technically, I just did 5. I started my LLC in 14, so it's 6. But I went full blown in 2015. Right, actually, when Gary did too, because Gary, that was when the whole whatever, all that, when he said, "I'm doing a firm," and there you guys went.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It was, sometimes life makes plans for you, you know?
Yeah.
And with Gary, we had it was a challenging pivot for us. But to REMAX's credit, they were able to help us facilitate what we needed to quickly.
Mhm.
You know, Gary's, we talked about the marketing stuff, but he's also made really great personnel decisions. Deborah Beagle is just.
Oh, I love Miss Deb.
She's a great woman. Sets a great example for all women in business, and she's the right balance between business-minded and compassionate.
She's great.
And so she's able to oscillate back and forth between those hats, and wearing those hats when necessary. And it's been great to watch her, even though she's been a full-grown woman the whole time, to watch her really mature in that role.
Yeah.
And get her feet under and be comfortable and thrive and really dominate.
Anybody that knows Miss Deborah says that exactly. I mean, literally, I've known her for, well, it's about 8 years now too as well. And worked on her house, you know, actually did some repairs on her house. I remember when I started my company, I texted Gary, I said, hey, you know, I'm going out doing my own thing. I've been in another company, you know, and had been there at your meetings, and he said, you'll do well. And he said, keep going. And then sure enough, he let me come to a couple meetings, and you've had realtors come and go, and met a lot of great ones, and some of them, you know, they've left. Everybody, you know, life changes. They've been, but he's always had successful people around him, and then when they aren't, or they don't decide to go do something else, and they're still successful, then they're gone. That's sort of like at RTM too. We don't keep just dead weight around just to have it around. I want people that can better themselves, that will, and you're not always gonna be here, right? You may go do something else.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing about our firm is that, I think it's true with all self-employment. People get into real estate though in particular, it seems glamour, look at houses, they're seeing these television shows on HGTV.
Isn't that wonderful? Yeah.
But then the real awakening is that once you do get into it, sure, you're in charge of your own time a little bit, but you're in a service business.
Yeah.
And you need to be a doctor on call.
As we'll say, that phone rings 24/7.
But even beyond that, at our firm, there's so much infrastructure, and we're doing things in terms of CRM management and things like that that separate us from other firms so much. The accountability at our firm is ratcheted up, I think, 10 times anywhere else. So if you're gonna hang around with us,
You better step your
you
game
gotta
up.
sell out and be in.
You better, yeah, yeah. Hey, you gotta jump in the pool if you wanna get wet.
That's right.
Deep in.
That's right.
When we come back, we're gonna get into some other things. We're actually gonna tell you how to get a hold of him. That's gonna be the biggest one, because I forgot to do that this whole show. We just sit here and have too much fun. But anyways, you're listening to Renovation Nation. You're listening to Renovation Nation live on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. See you in a minute. That's the beautiful part about not doing everything live. I'll go in, I can edit, and you'll never know what happened. Now, I always hear where the punch is sometimes, but you don't know.
I tune in, man, and it's, it always sounds really well produced. It always sounds like, I mean, it's just great that your musical background has been a compliment to what you're doing here. It's interesting how things just mesh together. You know?
I told Kim, this is 3 years ago now. I was saying something, I was like, well, if I told her about how I got into roofing, and which is a whole nother long story, but at least the sales side of roofing, that I said, man, I wish I'd been doing this years ago. You know, and she looked at me and said, no, you couldn't. You weren't ready.
That's right.
And it took me.
You always have that insight, don't they?
Yeah,
We're just
it's like a stupid teenager deer walking out in the middle of the light looking for a girl. It's just they don't get hit by a car. But where the does are like, you dummy, you know. but she was right, because it took years of doing construction. It took years of playing music. And by the way, I wasn't only playing, I was doing live sound. That's why the crazy stuff, it actually is really clean and neat now. But it was a rat's nest the other day, and I was setting it up. People were like, well, how do you even know I do it? I was like, it's just, how do you know how to brush your teeth? Eventually,
That's right.
you get it.
It becomes secondhand.
But, and then the years of working at my dad's computer company, being with my grandfather for years at the country club, he was the head greenkeeper and chef, and watching how he dealt with people. And it's just some things you absorb that you don't know you absorbed until all of a sudden it presents itself.
Yeah, those are all the elements of the equation that is you.
That's it, that's right.
For me, people ask me about real estate, and I tell them, you want to get in real estate, go get in the restaurant business.
Yeah.
They look at me like I have 3 heads. And I'm like, man, you want to deal with high stress? Go bartend, have 40 people looking at you at the same time. You're supposed to be serving food, getting them their drinks, making some conversation, and you want to make decisions fast, learn how to size people up in a personality way,
Yep.
quick, and what they're going to respond to.
Yep.
I mean,
You can't always take a mistake looking that way. Certain people, you gotta put some parsley on the side and give a little presentation.
yeah, man, it's just thinking fast. You know?
That's awesome. That is awesome. All right, let's see here. Let me get right there. I'm on 50, and let me make that 00. Bam. And let me take it off those two and put it on the last two right there and go, wow. You know you're back live. You're back live on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. This is Renovation Nation. I'm Checko, the host, owner of RTN Roofing, reminding you to get your roof inspected yearly, people. Saves you thousands. 615-500-0751, 500-0751, or you can go to rtmroofing.com. Yeah, man, I'm almost let that, but if Jeff wasn't here, I'd let it play the rest of the time, but I'm enjoying this today. I'm enjoying today having some people out here. It's lonely on the hill sometimes. I like quiet though, but you know.
Sometimes lonely's nice.
It is. Lonely to just stand at 4:30 in the morning, just watching the stars move and the sun come up. That's living to me.
You're not just looking at deer, you're working stuff out in your head.
The whole time.
You know, thinking about different things from that macro view, you know?
I hate micro. Don't get me wrong, you gotta get micro at some point, but I'm a macro guy. I like people that I'll give you enough rope to hang yourself. In other words, hey, I don't want to give you every inch here and go, no, you'll get, no. Here's your rope, here's how I tie a knot, here's the way another guy ties a knot. Figure out which way works best for you, because we tie knots.
Yeah.
Right?
I like that.
And then let them go. Because how else you gonna learn if you don't let somebody do their job? And it's hard for me sometimes. I don't know if Gary does this. I don't know if some of my team would be like, you just can't come in and change it. I'm like, well, it wouldn't work. I see a problem, and I call it the nuclear option. I can fix it. It's not working. It's fixed next.
Hold your breath.
You can't do things like that with people sometimes. And I just, it's a personality thing. You're dealing with multiple. To be honest with you, it's like working in a band. You got all these A-type artists that everybody is good in their own right, very energetic, very intuitive,
especially this town.
Artistic. You put 5 of them in a room, it's like 5 bulls in a china shop sometimes. But when they mesh up and finally get in sync, you can't micro them. It's more of a macro. You just bring it together, then you get the police. Then you get, and I don't mean blue lights, I mean the police.
Right.
Then you get Van Halen, Pearl Jam. You get all,
30 years ago today, Pearl Jam played their first show.
Be quiet.
Imagine that.
Be quiet.
We're old, buddy.
No, I wasn't born yet. I never even heard of Pearl Jam. Who's Pearl Jam?
Yeah, right.
It's Stink Bug Central.
Oh,
They're everywhere. They're everywhere. But I know people on Facebook like, he got roaches. There wasn't roaches. That was a stink bug. But that's Fred. Leave Fred alone. He hangs out.
He's cool.
He's cool. But so we got off there talking about all kinds of things, and we mentioned the anniversary. Talk about you said something when you got here about communities. You're doing something with communities. What's that? Tell me about that. I hadn't heard that one yet.
Yeah, it's you never know when it's really going to happen. That's sort of the laws of attraction, if you will, and when the sort of the levee breaks in terms of momentum. For
Right, a little Zeppelin there. Keep going. Yeah.
But for us, we've been practicing for a while. Of course, I've been doing it 18 years, and in that time, you get exposed to different parts of the marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
A big piece of that for me has been construction. I had a business partner and a successful construction company since about 06, 07. We went our separate ways a few years ago.
So you're doing real estate and
Yeah, I
construction.
still do. I'm a general contractor as well.
Right.
Yeah, that's a compliment.
Real quick before you keep going, otherwise I'll forget and we'll be done with the show.
Yeah.
How do people get in touch with you, or the team, or whatever? How do they? Because I know people are listening.
Well, it's all about the team. So NashvilleRealestate.com is our domain, and we have Nashville's with an S, MLS. I'm at Jeff Checko on Instagram, and you can find me on Facebook. I got a page there.
Right.
My cell is 615-394-7783. But yeah, man, it's to see how the things that you do can complement each other. We just talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, getting involved in construction gave me a certain facet as a real estate broker that not all brokers have. And that's a unique understanding of construction, how it works. And what I didn't realize is how valuable that would be to developers and builders. Them being able to speak their language with you, them being able to count on you to be a better reflection of their wants and
Understanding the game.
and their sentiments. So what that's led to for us as a team, and for me personally, and of course working with Gary, is opportunities to represent entire communities. We've got a great community in West Nashville townhomes called West Side Circle right now that we've only about 8 units left out there. It's over by Percy Warner Park.
Now, did you build them, or did you get with the developer and then now you're selling them?
So that was one that we became the representation.
Okay.
But the reason why we got that account, of course, Gary and his marketing kicked down the door.
Mm-hmm.
Fellow British guy is the developer.
Oh, nice.
So that was
an in.
That was the crack, right?
Yeah, right.
We kicked it down by going in and being able to have conversation that wasn't like, oh, it wasn't just, we have marketing. It was, let's talk about the process, let's talk about systems, let's talk about how we can take the stresses of building off you and put it on our sales staff to help you focus on fulfillment.
That's right.
And
Did
so
you do
that's-
your job?
That's been a big thing. We've got we've got a place called West Side Summit, Woodland Hills over by Nippers Corner. And
Right.
these are contemporary homes with city views, and we represented them on a phase. Now they're going into their phase 3, and we formed a partnership, an equity partnership, where we're actually part of the development team.
Nice.
So we've got some communities in entitlement phase, and so it's just interesting how these things sort of complement each other, and you can take one thing you learned and figure out how it works well with other things and makes you a more powerful force.
And then you get today, 2020, this year of all craziness, what all went down. And we mentioned some of this earlier, we didn't go in a lot. Where is it going? Because people are selling well, I think a lot of realtors I talked to have a hard time finding houses to sell. They got more buyers still than sellers. Is this keep going? I mean, election, no election, forget the election. I mean, where's Nashville headed? Or give me some prognostication there, Mr. Checko, best you can.
If I had that crystal clear crystal ball, I'd be doing even better than I am.
Okay. Oh, nice answer. Okay, nice answer.
But
gut check.
But I do have an opinion.
Yeah.
And that is that it's always like cyclical.
Mm-hmm.
And I recall before things kind of hit in terms of a downturn last time, it felt like it couldn't get any busier.
Right.
And it feels that way now. And I'm not saying we're headed for a downturn,
Yeah.
but I think we do need a healthy
Adjustment.
correction,
Yeah.
a little plateau.
I've been waiting on it like 3 or 4 years thinking it was going to adjust and it just kept going and going.
Yeah.
But you got to remember too, in my opinion, from my viewpoint, back in 07, 08, that was man-made. They're loaning people money and should never bought a house in the first place. No money down, was never going to afford it, and the house of cards fell. This is the government just turned the key off.
Well, it's
But Nashville been stupid crazy on prices and what in real estate. Not bad, but I'm just saying it's just been higher
when
than I
07,
thought.
08 happened, we didn't have rampant appreciation that needed to deflate. We didn't have so much of a bubble.
Yeah.
So while we saw some downturn and some decreasing in pricing. It wasn't as dramatic as you saw in other like big suburban
That's right.
markets. We may be a little more exposed to that right now with all the growth that we have, but we do have that trump card of, no pun intended, of a lot of people moving here.
Yeah.
And so what I think is going on right now, you're gonna have a combination of really the COVID effect. You've got, right now you've got about $600 billion worth of loans in forbearance.
Exactly.
And so
Exactly.
what does that mean? Is the government gonna step in and provide another stimulus with more options for people? Forbearance is tough because it does affect credit, and it doesn't defer payments. It gives you a compounding payment that you're gonna have to make up for down the line.
Right when it comes in.
So
Yeah.
how are we gonna rectify that?
Yeah, people thought that it was gonna be on the back end, like they just wanna add the payments on to the very, very end. No, it's when it finally, they unlock the key, or unlock the door, they're gonna say it's due.
That's right. So I've talked to friends and clients that didn't really understand what they were getting into, asking for forbearance. They thought it was kind of a, hey, let's take a break for a couple months.
Yeah.
But then they talked to the mortgage company and it's, no, you're gonna have to double up on your payments now for 3 or 4 months.
To catch it up.
Does
That's
that
right.
mean there's no other options? No, the way it's set up, the bank's supposed to work with you.
Yeah.
But really, depending on what happens in the election, you may have one administration, and I'm not gonna get overly opinionated here, you may have one that's willing to create more stimulus and bailout. You may have another that is gonna let the free market do what it does. We've got a lot of mortgage-backed securities that are controlled by foreign interests that may not affect us as much from a federally insured standpoint as they would otherwise. So it's gonna be interesting to see play out. I'm not telling people to brace themselves for any kind of cataclysmic thing, but you know, you never
Be
want to be
smart.
overextended. You always want to be able to think about the worst case scenario, and all you realtors keep a year worth of savings in your bank account, darn it, instead of spending all your money.
And that way, in 07, 08 comes again, you can go buy some stuff.
That's right.
And then sell it in 12 and 13 and
Cash will
14.
be king, it always is at some point, right?
Well, Mr. Checko,
Yeah.
do you hear the music? that was quick. We're gonna do some more.
I love it.
I'd love to come back in and do some more talking of some other stuff. Thanks for coming up to the hill. Now you know where it's at.
It's been a pleasure.
Now look at my light right here. Look right here at the picture to get the blinding light when you forget where you're at.
That's right, that's right.
But you've been listening to Jeff Checko of the TAREG Group, the Ashton Real Estate Group. Well, next week, we got a banker coming on, so we're going to not go from real estate. We're going to talk about how to buy it. Anyway, see you next week. Y'all have fun. Be safe. See ya.
Peace.
Bam. How's that? What's that? Oh, wow.
Went by fast, man.
See, no commercials. It's just it's a 10, 12, 12, 10.
Love it.
But let me hit save right here where I got those, and bam, saved. That's it. Well, Facebook, good to see you. We'll get you back on soon. That was awesome. Y'all have fun.